The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host and guest and are not necessarily those of WPSL or WSTU. This station does not endorse products that may be mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without the express permission and written consent of this station. Phone lines are open for your questions and comments. Call 220-9788 or 340-1590. And now, here's your host.
And you're in the studios with the Treasure Coast Car Guys from Treasure Coast Lexus. Steve Friend, your host. Welcome back.
Good morning. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
And Gary Coffey is here.
I'm back. I'm the irregular regular.
An irregular regular.
Yeah.
That's a good way of saying it.
Yep.
So I thought today, on the way up, and also speaking with Gary, we have several things that we'd like to share information with. We want to talk about the results from March, okay, with our two dealerships. Then we're going to talk briefly about smart tires.
Okay, smart tires.
Smart tires.
Everything's smart these days,
Pretty
so why
much.
not the tires?
This is pretty interesting.
Okay.
We're going to talk about incentives for the coming month for April. And we are also going to talk about the new car that is going to be arriving next month for all Lexus dealers, the LC 500 and the LC Hybrid as well. And this is a flagship car, and we'll talk more about that.
I think you should put it up front with red ropes around it and sell tickets to come see it.
I think we'll do that, but we're not going to sell tickets. So anyway, just a little bit of information. The automobile business in general for the month of March, some experts say it was flat, although there was some moments of brilliance in the market. So first, our Toyota dealership, run by Amber Woods. I have to congratulate them again because it's been months now where they're setting all different types of records. And I think they had close to a best ever March. Their percent of attainment was off the chart. And they are growing in leaps and bounds every month. So kudos to Amber and to Phil and the rest of the team, doing a great job. And just a couple of notes about what's happening with some of the models. So for March 2017, the Camry sold nationwide 35,548 units, which is a lot of Camrys. The Corolla had best ever March with over 30,000 Corollas. And the RAV4 rose 10.3%, and it was a best ever March and best ever for the first quarter of any year. So what we're seeing is, of course, the Camry and Corolla are two of the best-selling cars in the United States. But the RAV4, which is sport utility, and we've said many times now, this 60-40 proposition of manufacturers shifting gears to 60% production of sport utilities and trucks, we could see it, and more so with the RAV4, which is an incredible unit. The Tacoma had sales of 16,728 trucks. The Highlander was up 28% in deliveries, also a best ever for March.
So now is the Highlander that's a little bit bigger SUV than the RAV4?
Yeah, that's a full size.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a full-size sport utility. And the Lexus luxury utility vehicles were up 9.5% year over year for the month of March. And the NX, which is our smaller sport utility, entry-level sport utility, was up 24% year over year from last month. So between the RX, including the NX, the GX, and the LX, it's really pushing the envelope with sales for the Lexus division.
So now you started off by saying that the automotive industry has been, they're saying flat, but yet your numbers are up versus other Marches.
Our numbers in a Lexus store, we did a few more units than we did last March, but also I believe it was tied for best ever March in our history. And the Toyota store, I think they achieved something like 150 or 60% of their objective. So when you do those kind of numbers, it just blows away all the preceding years.
Sure.
So there are some very bright spots, but mostly what we're seeing is trucks, sport utilities, and luxury sport utilities are cornering the market. And we knew that. So where we see dips that the pessimists talk about are less family sedans, less four-door sedans. So, but those sales are being converted into sport utility sales.
Is this, like, historically, is this time of year usually a little slower for cars?
No, this is a great selling year.
So is that what's making the news as far as the the first thing you said was it's flat?
flat. Well, keep in mind, last year for 2016 was the best ever, where it was just over 18 million cars.
People got new cars already.
Well, there's plenty more to go. Okay, so people are replacing their older cars, and also it was a record, from what I understand, in pre-owned cars sold across the board. And that's attributable to all the good programs with the low interest rates, and also with these great new warranties that have come up with the certified pre-owned cars. So I just want a couple other things that I want to talk about. So the RX, which is the new design from 2016, sold 9,445 units in the month. And also the GX, which is our V8 full-size vehicle, 7-passenger, gained 31% in March. And it's up 5.7% for the first quarter of this year. And those are the highest sales that unit has ever seen. And also the LX is very interesting. That's up 21% year over year for the month of March, and that's a $100,000 car. So people are definitely spending money. They're great lease programs. At the Lexus store, 80% of our cars are leased, okay, which is people have figured out it's a better way to drive the car. And our Toyota store is now approaching, and speaking with them the other day, close to 40% lease, which is a little high for a Toyota store, but it's great for the clients. So there's really, really good news as far as our business here on the Treasure Coast. So we're very, very proud of all of our associates, so let me thank all of them. Keep in mind also, when you're selling more cars, your service and parts business is also amplified. So we had a great month in both stores in service and parts. And a couple of reasons why, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes. Some of the recalls that finally we have parts for, so we're going to go over that as well. But first, Gary and I would like to share some information about a new product that is being offered that technically is right now is being offered on the more expensive Highline exotic cars. And this is a tire with a computer chip in it that monitors a whole bunch of different things. So I'm just going to kind of outline it, and then Gary will probably talk a little bit more about it. But right now, these tires are becoming available for like Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and cars in that genre. So the really interesting thing, the article starts off where it says, "Would you like your tires to talk to you?" So basically, they've implanted a small chip in the sidewall of the tire, and the chip is activated with a smartphone app, like everything else,
right.
Smartphone. And basically, it monitors tire pressure, temperature, vertical load, tire wear, and remaining tire life. And also, when the tire drops too low or when the wear is approaching.
That would give me something to worry about. I'd be constantly checking how worn how much more life do I have left on my tires.
Well, keep in mind, tires do last a lot longer than they used to. But it's really incredible when you think about the technology. I mean, who would have ever thought that a tire can talk to you? So, Gary.
Yeah, you wonder how they do it. Okay, you get the whole chip thing, but how does that chip get the information to then send to your phone? How does it glean this information?
Well, the technology actually comes from Formula One. They say that first on race day, the cars that win in the race on Sunday, people are in the showrooms on Monday buying those cars. I had a chance to go to the IMSA race a couple of weeks ago, and Lexus has entries into that, their RCF car. Boy, it's a lot different than NASCAR. If people that are NASCAR fans and Indy car fans and stuff like that, this IMSA stuff is some nice stuff. And the cars are absolutely gorgeous. But all this technology comes from RFI radio frequencies and stuff like that. So, like Steve was saying, they measure the tire pressures in each individual tire, the temperature of the tire, the vertical load, the tire wear, and the number of kilometers that you've driven on each tire. So if you rotate your tires, spare, like the old-fashioned way, you take the spare out of the trunk and you stick it on there. that would be a good device for that.
Is it still like customary to do it that way? I would think that most cars have the smaller donut tire.
Yeah.
Really, so really
I like a full-size spare myself.
A lot of cars do have the donuts, but a lot of Lexus products also has the full-size spare as well. Some old-fashioned people, but the full-size spares don't have the nice fancy rim on it, though.
Right.
So
just a plain steel wheel.
yeah.
So you're driving down the road, and we know you had a flat tire.
You did have a flat, for sure. You can
It's
tell.
not on the right wheel.
A lot of old-fashioned type people like to do a 5-tire rotation on their
Gary,
automobile.
does the radio frequencies that you're speaking of with this new application and the new chip, isn't that very close to the technology that we have with our tire sensors
Pressure
presently?
monitor systems, exactly. When a tire, the sensors inside the tires, they can read air pressure, and it sends a radio signal to a computer in the car that alerts you that your tire pressures are low. Most of our automobiles have the actual tire pressure reading. I'm a tire pressure guy. That's the first thing that's in my car. I'm always monitoring my tire pressures because I don't want to have a blowout, or I don't want to drive on a tire that's low and have premature tire wear and have to spend my own tires. So I mean, we've talked about that, gosh, for weeks and weeks and weeks. We've talked about how important tire pressure is. This technology for this tires that talk to this application, though, is just it's
over the top.
I can't even imagine what goes into the technology that they're putting in these tires
Now
these days.
they've had for a while. They've had where it's in the it's in the stem, in the air valve.
It actually is a part of the stem.
Okay.
The newer models are. It's part of the valve stem. It's like a little box that's got a fit kit on it, and it's like the double nut things. It's got a screw on the inside of it, or a nut on the inside of it and a nut on the outside of it, and you tighten it up to where it stays tight.
Now it's probably some sort of magic or something. But if you rotate your tires, how does it know where it's at? Is there a perceptual component?
Depending on the car, we have to reset the tire monitors.
Okay, so you have to reprogram that.
Yes, and we had an instance not too long ago that a client had bought a car from a buy here, pay here lot. It was an ES, and these people, not knowing exactly what they were doing with the car, started throwing aftermarket tire pressure monitors in it, and these cars also monitor the air pressure in your spare tire if it's so equipped with that.
Okay.
This car came into the shop, and it was just an absolute disaster. Because people don't know that they have to program each sensor to the computer that's in the car. They have serial numbers on them. So, like in the new car department, when client wants to buy a set of rims, we have to program all that stuff to the car itself.
Okay.
Now, Gary, I learned something very interesting from you this past week, because on my car in particular, the warning light came on, and I was looking, and one of the tires had less air.
Right.
And it was really interesting because I never understood how the warning sensors, how does a sensor alert and push that data up to the dashboard for us to see it? I mean, I'm very simple-minded when it comes to
You're
that.
thinking, are these tires wired some kind of way to the car?
So-
How could that be?
So the transmitters have like these little batteries.
Batteries, correct.
And you said the shelf life on a battery is about, what, 10 years?
10 years
approximately?
on a tire pressure monitor, yeah. And no, you can't change the battery on one. You have to replace the sensor.
Right, and I found that
okay.
out.
That's what
and
Steve
I found
goes,
out
"Can you just
exactly how
change the
much it
battery?"
cost, too. And actually, it really wasn't bad at all. You'd be surprised. But what happened with mine was I have a full-size spare tire in the car, and the light came on, and sometimes when it gets cold, the regular Ford tires are not really losing the pressure, but the spare did. And it was on for a couple days, and I realized that it was the spare, so I really wasn't that concerned, and the shop was very busy, so I figured I'd wait until they had time. So they reset that and put air in there, and everything was fine, and I took the car back, and then the sensor, after driving for a little bit, started to flash, and then it stayed on, and that was the indication that the sensor was going bad.
It dropped out, right? A lot of times we'll get cars in that have tire pressure lights on, and when we hook our scan tools up to it, we can see the fluctuation in the radio frequency that's going to that particular sensor. We use the terminology that sometimes we can wake those sensors up. The sensors, they're not
Remotely, just think of that.
bad. The sensors are not bad, but when a sensor drops out and you bring it in and we wake that thing up, the chances are that it's going to fail again. So we'd like to give you the option. Look, we're going to wake the thing up. It's going to drop out again. Do you want to replace it now, or do you want to wait until it actually fails and we can't wake it up anymore?
And it's really not an expensive repair.
It's not, considering with all the technology that goes into those things. I think those sensors are like $100, $125.
Yeah.
So it's not bad at all to save a tire.
Now, I would think with these new tires, okay, this is Pirelli brand that is manufacturing this. It's unique to that brand, but I would imagine that most tires eventually will have that. And I guess the question is, will that surpass and integrate, and the regular sensors would probably go away?
I think eventually it will.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting fact about with the Formula One thing that we were talking about. This article says that this technology comes from Formula One, where colored tires have been in use since 2011. Pirelli engineers developed a material that will maintain the color without fading despite time and use, and will also perform well. Admittedly, it's not the first go-round for the colorful tires. The earliest car tires were white, while B.F. Goodrich efforts to put colors in treads rather than sidewalls was halted after gangs in California latched onto the idea in a way to market their territories.
Nothing's sacred.
So nothing is sacred anymore. That's just crazy.
But red tires and blue tires?
Yes.
But remember years ago they had red line striped tires
Yes.
on some of the older cars.
Yeah,
that you were
those
able
are
to
very
buy.
cool.
So I guess it's not entirely new, but there are 4 colors I remember reading that are available with these Pirelli
Now,
tires.
these are sidewalls that are colored, or the whole,
small stripped
just
sidewall.
like a stripe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it goes on to say that the same P0 and Winter Soto Zero tires are offered as colored editions, so you will soon be able to get colored tires that can talk to an app. So, yeah, this thing is just way over my head.
Wow.
So these colored tires will be available in red, yellow, silver, and white. And I think it's really cool because you look at some of the current day muscle cars. And
It's
you
almost like
see-
white walls are coming back.
Kind of. I mean, we don't really miss white walls.
Some
It's
of
just more
us
to clean.
might.
Do you? I remember though.
Yeah.
How if you think back, the older cars like what 30s, 40s, and 50s had sidewalls that were like 5-6
Right,
white wall
right.
tires, and then I remember they went all the way down to maybe an inch, and then for some reason they just disappeared.
The low profile, more wheel than rubber.
Well, the low profile completely took it away.
Yeah.
It's really amazing when you look at low profile tires, though. I mean, sometimes you're talking about an inch off the floor with the clearance.
And boy, you talk about riding
incredible.
like crazy. I see these big Escalades and the big what's the big Ford, the Excursion and stuff like that, with the rims and stuff that are. I mean, the car looks like it's just riding down the road on rims, and there's a little teeny black strip around it, and that's the tire. I can't imagine.
Well, now you can
riding
get that in
car
color.
like that. Exactly.
So it's pretty interesting stuff. So just want to let people know exactly what's coming down the pike.
Well, speaking of tires, we talk about tires a little bit more. I'm a tire guy. Everybody knows that. We've got some really good news for the month of April. We have a Lexus promotion in April, and this is exciting stuff here. Every year, and sometimes twice a year, we come up with these promotions where you can get a set of 4 tires and get a $100 instant rebate on 4, and you can also get a $50 rebate if you buy 2. But what Lexus has done this month is they've sweetened the pot a little bit. So if you buy certain tires, let's say Yokohama, they're calling it the Yokohama Spring Getaway, from April the 15th through May the 31st, you purchase a set of qualified tires, and you get an $80 rebate, a mail-in rebate from the manufacturer. But the good news is that rebate can also be combined with our $100 instant offer as well. Goodyear has an $80 mail-in rebate offer. That can also be combined with the instant offer, so that's $180 off a set of 4 tires. B.F. Goodrich is offering $50 off. That cannot be combined, and Hankook as well. Pirelli, we're talking about colored tires. Here comes Pirelli. $60 mail-in rebate. And
Colored tires and chip tires excluded.
Yes, exactly. For right now. That can also be combined with the $100 or the $50. And Continental is offering a $70 mail-in rebate that can also be combined with our spring special. And Bridgestone is offering a $70 Visa prepaid card manufacturer rebate. That one cannot be combined with the instant offer, but Bridgestone tires are, people that, I'm a Bridgestone kind of guy, so I would sacrifice the rebate to get the kind of tires. So anyway, just come in, and we'll definitely, we've got lots of tires in stock.
And that's in addition to our pricing,
yes,
which is we have
very
a money-back guarantee with a price match.
So competitive pricing and a rebate too.
Yes.
Competitive pricing and a rebate too. And some of the tire manufacturers have a 30-day ride quality guarantee as well. If we put tires on your car, you don't like the way they ride, then give you another set.
Mm-hmm. So go out to the driveway with your penny and see if Lincoln's head. There's that Lincoln head.
Isn't it funny? We all remember that. So while we're thinking and talking about new innovations and new things coming out and great deals, so I am very excited to talk about this next car, which should be arriving in the next few weeks. And it's called the LC500 or LC500H, which is the hybrid version. This is a two-seat luxury sports coupe that is really going to change the landscape of what's being sold and performance levels and everything else. And the interesting part about this car was that the actual model, the pre-production model, was shown in 2012 at the North American International Auto Show. And typically when you see concept cars, most of them don't make it to market.
Right, or they do, the name comes out, but it doesn't look anything like the concept.
Completely different. So when this car was shown in 2012, it was again shown in 2016, updated at the auto show, and the car looks almost identical to what it was shown back in 2012. Now, just a little bit of statistics on this car. First off, it is available in 3 different packages, one of which is a touring package, which we'll get to in a minute, sport package, and a performance package. But the interesting part is that the normally aspirated engine is 471 horsepower. Okay, it's a rear-wheel drive. It's 0 to 60 projected in 4.4 seconds, and it's got just under 400 pounds-feet of torque. Mm-hmm. So basically, translation, barn burner.
It's a race car.
Get the tires ready. So now we have another edition of this car. So aesthetically, it looks exactly the same. Mm-hmm. But for people who are more looking at environmentally friendly cars, hybrids, a little bit better gas mileage, we have a multi-stage hybrid that packs 354 horsepower, and it's 0 to 60 in 5 seconds versus 4.4 for the V8. And this is amazing technology. And this is something that there's no other manufacturer that has anything even remotely close. The LC500 bare bones car, which is a pretty well-optioned car, mm-hmm. starts at $92,000, and the hybrid starts at $96,500. Now, these are cars that you're going to keep, you're going to hold on to. Mm-hmm. It's interesting. We've seen most people who buy these types of cars, they don't really lease them. They buy them, they own them, they play with them, they soup them up sometimes. And
they wax them on Saturday.
And Sunday.
And Monday.
In the morning, in the afternoon, and the night. It's truly like a work of art when you see this mm-hmm. car. It's so beautifully chiseled, and it just reeks of speed and comfort and luxury. And when you look at the interior, I don't think you probably could find a car that has a nicer interior, better grade leather, or just the way all the functionality integrates mm-hmm. in the car. So this is really something that we're very, very proud to have. It's going to be limited numbers, so it's not going to be a very well mass-produced automobile. Mm-hmm. And we've had a lot of interest. People are dying to see this car in person. I did see the car a year ago over the summer in Las Vegas, and I think I mentioned it a few times. Mm-hmm. Honestly, you could look at this car and it looks like it's doing 200 miles an hour just sitting still. And when you're sitting in the car, it just takes your breath away. The car is absolutely gorgeous. So we're thrilled, excited, and a couple things about these packages that are available. I'm just going to read a couple things off that are very interesting. So the touring package, which is the initial package, has upgraded leather seating, blind spot monitor with cross-traffic alert, and those are the safety functions that most cars have now. Intuitive park assist. It's got the Mark Levinson surround sound system, which if you've ever sat in a car and listened to a Mark Levinson sound system, you would think that you are in one of the finest concert halls anywhere in the world. It's absolutely incredible. And it's a small car, so the sound with all the speakers and the power is just ricocheting against everything, and it's just amazing. The touring package will come with 20-inch forged wheels. It has an Alcantara headliner, which is a better grade headliner. Heated steering wheel, of course, we'll certainly need that in Florida. Window de-icers, another thing that we'll need here, and heads-up display. The probably most preferred package, which is a Southern area package, includes a glass roof. It has the sports seats with the upgraded Alcantara inserts, 21-inch forged steel wheels, and it's got limited slip differential. So that is kind of the middle of the road, but that one is being optioned specifically for the 5-state area through Lexus Southern area. And then there's an all-out performance package that's also going to be optional in the Southern area, and that will have active rear steering, variable gear ratio steering, active rear spoiler, which pops up at certain speeds. So,
to slow you down when you're on the Autobahn.
Well, to keep the rear on the ground.
Yeah.
And
I'm not sure where you may be driving it. But be careful on 95.
you know, it's so funny that so many people always say, you know, what are you going to do with a car with that much power? But when you think about it, 0 to 60,
it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Agreed, and everybody should have one. So you can see from the pictures. I mean,
it's gorgeous from the rear
car,
end.
I wish that I can show this, hold it up to the microphone, and scan it, and everybody could see it, because this truly is going to set Lexus apart. And you know, there's some interesting cars in that price range and in that type of performance level. I think that Lexus is going to revolutionize the whole thing.
I think that the quality far surpasses what else, the other options.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. When you go back in time in the late 60s and 70s, and all of us in the room, we had muscle cars. Now, you know that the quality on those cars back then, I mean, if you really got on the car and really shifted hard, I remember
especially if you were driving a Mopar, quality wasn't really there.
And the interesting thing about it was, it was just strictly built for that performance, the 0-60, the quarter mile. All the guys used to take them to the track, and they used to time it. And remember the Polyglass GT white letter Goodyear tires? Okay, we never understood how every 60 days we had to replace them. But it was different times. The quality wasn't consistent in so-called muscle cars, where today it's a very different story. You take a car with this kind of power, okay, and it's flawless, where you can be doing excessive speed with the air conditioning, just cruising, and have this abundance of excess power anytime you want to put your foot into it.
Yeah, that car's also got that new transmission in it, that 10-speed direct shift automatic transmission.
Yes, well, that's going to be on the gas version, and if I'm not mistaken, it's called a multi-stage hybrid transmission.
Yeah, that's CVT line.
Where you're actually, for the first time, going to be able to feel shift points, if I'm not mistaken, which is very unusual, because most of your hybrids, you don't feel shift inflections or points when you're driving. Normally, you put your foot, you're driving 30 miles an hour, you floor it, and it kicks down.
Right.
With artificial shift points, they're trying to duplicate that feeling.
Okay, so people want to feel it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. So we have ordered several of these, lucky few, initially that come in. So if you are interested in listening to this show, please come into the store and let us sit down, and we can really talk about timelines, how to build it, custom built the way you want it, custom colors, because this is really a car that you're not only going to buy and enjoy, you're going to enjoy and keep this car for years.
Well, it's like everything. It's the high performance. It is pure muscle, and it is luxury.
I can see Steve driving that car back and forth to Boca.
I can. I don't know if my wallet can. I don't know if my wife can.
You'll get home faster.
Well, not necessarily. Not necessarily. But anyway, it's we're just so excited about this car. So also along the same lines, one of the reasons why we are having such great success with our Toyota lines and our Lexus line is because of additional factory support in the form of incentives. And it's really pretty interesting. The few things that so many people right now are concerned about are rates going up. Okay, we ticked up a quarter of a point last month. And
Yeah, money became more expensive.
It is. And typically when that happens in the initial stages, the smart manufacturers will subvene, or I should say subvent, the interest rates. And they'll do that. In other words, they'll buy those rates down. So some of the programs right now, I'm going to do the Toyota programs first because these are really incredible. So you can actually walk into our Toyota store, and on a 2017 Corolla, you can get 0% financing for 72 months. Now, there aren't a lot of manufacturers that will, at this point in time, offer 72-month financing. Typically, it's 48 or 60. So you're looking at one of the best-selling compact cars in the world, okay, that has more, an interesting fact about the Corolla, there are more Corollas on the road than any other car anywhere else in the world. So this car has been a great seller.
really would have thought it would have been the Camry.
No, Corolla.
Okay.
Yeah, the Corolla. So right now, it's 0% for 72 months. And the 2017 Camry and the Camry Hybrid is 0% for 72 months, plus an additional $500 bonus cash. So that's an amazing deal when you think about it, when interest rates are on the way up now. So these are tremendous opportunities for people who've held off, hoping for better deals and what have you. I can tell all of our listeners with confidence, a good degree of confidence, it ain't getting many better than this.
Right.
It's really tremendous. Now, the Prius is interesting. Of course, for last year in 2016, completely redesigned car. It's an amazing looking car. It looks like it's totally out of the future. That car right now, the Prius Liftback, is 1.9% for up to 60 months. Great deal. The Prius C, which is the smaller three-door, is 0.9% for 72 months. And the Prius V, which is it's a kind of a wagon-shaped vehicle. That's the car that when you fly into most airports, taxi cab drivers, because they
You can put luggage in the back.
You can put a lot of luggage in the back, and they get 40-plus miles to the gallon. That car is 0.9 for 72 months as well. Now, let's say you want to lease the car as opposed to buying it. So on a Corolla, okay, base Corolla, with $2,600 down for 36 months, $169 a month.
Wow.
Which is pretty consistent with electric bills today. Camrys are $199 a month with $29.95 down for 36 months. And a hybrid, if you want to drive a hybrid, now this is very interesting. With the same amount of money down, it's only $19 more per month, so it's $219 a month, and you get the benefit of 40 miles to the gallon in a Camry hybrid, which is an amazing car. So now, the hot models, for example, the 4Runners, if you're lucky enough to find a leftover 2016 4Runner, which I don't know if you'd be lucky enough to find that, but they're offering a low money down lease with $359 a month for that car, starting at that. The Sienna vans, which is rated one of the top minivans, 0.9% for 72 months, or with small amount of money down, $319 a month to get started, which is great. And the flagship car for Toyota, which is the Avalon and the Avalon Hybrid, that's 2.9 for 72 months, and it also has a starting lease payment of $319 a month on the gas version and $339 a month on the hybrid version. So when you take a look in these kind of deals that are available right now, I don't think it could ever be a better time to buy a car than there is right now. And the spring selling season is the strongest. So we have extra cars coming at our Toyota store. We have extra allocation that's coming at our Lexus store. And it's interesting because we're earning more cars because we're selling more cars. And that's how dealerships earn them. They just don't give them to you because you call up and say, look, I'd like another 500 Camrys. If you're not earning it and you don't have the ability to be able to sell those cars and convert them, you're not going to get them. So it's a testimony to the entire sales teams in both stores, what they're doing. And if you choose to go with Lexus, we have some amazing offers as well. So let me get, here we go. So for our CT, which is the entry-level three-door hatchback car, which is all Lexus.
Hybrid.
It's a hybrid rated at 42 miles per gallon. That car with $19.95 out of pocket leases for $299 a month, which is really incredible. 36 months, and that's not a low mileage
And
lease.
that's a Lexus.
That's a 10,000-mile lease for 36 months. It's a small amount of money down, and you figure with tax, it's $318 a month, and you got an amazing car for the price of what most entry-level cars go for.
Right.
So you really have to come, and it's so funny because when people see our Lexus store, they think, "Oh, I don't know if I could afford to go in there," but you really can because our prices are really very consistent with some second-tier type cars.
So people would be surprised.
They would be shocked.
Okay.
And we carry a full range of pre-owned cars, which we'll get to in another minute. So if you don't want to go with the CT hybrid, you can go with the IS200T, which is a four-door sports sedan, and with a small down payment, it's $309 a month plus tax. In addition, our four-door family sedan, the ES350, probably the best all-around purposed car that we sell. It's a great selling car. With the down payment, it's $339 a month for 36 months. So these are great deals that I've been with Lexus for many years, and we don't expect to see these deals to be duplicated because with rates going up, cost of cars going up, technology going up, and these cars are loaded with technology. They have all the latest safety technology, even in the base models they do. So it's a great opportunity to really move up and really enjoy the luxury ride of a Lexus. The NX200T, which is the new smaller sport utility, it's a $319 payment with a small down payment. And when we talk about a small down payment, we're talking about maybe 5% down. So it is a small down payment. The RX350, which is and has been since 1998 consistently the best-selling luxury sports utility on the planet. Okay, it's it's $419 a month. Okay, and that's a car that starts in the mid-40 range. All the newest safety technology. It's a full-size, great riding, quiet, luxurious vehicle for $419 a month with a small down payment. That is our best-selling car. I would say out of almost half the cars that we sell is going to be an RX. And interestingly enough, even with gas prices relatively cheap, and although they've spiked in the last couple of days, if you're watching, hybrids, Lexus hybrids are still in pretty good demand as opposed to some of the others. We had our best month this past month with the RX 450h hybrid, the sport utility, and ES hybrid surprises everybody. But that's also a car that you can get an extra 270 miles on a tank of gas if you go with a hybrid, and it's not much more money.
So then the hybrid is it switching between battery power and gasoline? Is that the type of hybrid? Okay.
Exactly. As opposed to a full electric car.
Right.
So, which there are only a couple now. Okay, Tesla is one of them, and General Motors now has what's called
Spark.
the Bolt.
Oh, okay.
Bolt. Yeah, first they came out
now,
with the Volt.
Wasn't there? I thought there was a Spark.
The Spark is a small.
Is it electric?
Small, inexpensive car. It's not electric.
Judging by the it's not. Well, judging by the name, I thought.
You would think.
Yeah, you would think that it would be.
The Volt's an electric car with the gas backup. So
actually, no, Gary. From what I understand, the original Volt is gas backup, which is still sold, and that was the one that came out a few years ago. But the new one doesn't have a gas backup. It will go 270 miles on a charge.
See, I would never buy a car like that.
That would make me. I'd be fearful too. Where am I going to plug in when I get there?
Yeah, well, a lot of places have charging
stations. As more manufacturers are investing in these cars, you're going to see charging stations. I know in California there's a lot of them. And you go to some of the malls here, and in the preferred parking, you can just pull up in the handicap parking. Okay, you have your handicap, and then over to the side,
you have
you just pull up and you plug
your
in.
outlet.
We're seeing more and more of them. We're seeing more and more of them.
Yeah. So look, it's technology. It's eventually going to happen, and with the strict cafe mileage rules that are in place, we have to have I think 2025 we have to be 54 miles to the gallon. Corporate fleet average. So that's a good thing for Toyota because of all the Priuses, and also for Lexus because we have 6 hybrid vehicles in our line, and we're the only luxury manufacturer that can boast that. And these cars are not only unbelievably economical when it comes to gasoline, but from an ecological standpoint, they treat the economy significantly better than the average car. So they're great buys. And it's really
Is there any power difference? Can you tell if you're...
very interesting question.
Yes, there is.
Would you like to explain?
Well, the hybrids, you think of it in very simplistic terms, 2 engines.
Okay.
So you've got your gas engine and your hybrid engine. So, yeah, there's more horsepower with a hybrid car than there is a gasoline car.
Case in point, we had a couple in last week that had their minds set on an RX 350. They knew exactly what they wanted. It was narrowed down between a conventional gas RX and between an F Sport, which is an upgraded, sportier version with a more aggressive-looking grille.
All-wheel drive.
It's there. Well, you can actually get an F Sport now RX in both two-wheel drive with front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. This is the first year that you can get that.
17s.
Yeah,
right,
for the 17s.
correct.
So she really wasn't quite sure which one she wanted, and but she knew she wanted a red car. So on the showroom, there happened to have been a red, brand new 450h RX. So in looking at the cars, you can't really tell the difference unless if you look at the insignia.
Well, I would think the H would tell me it's a hybrid.
Yeah, but if you're not really paying attention and
Okay.
look at the car from afar, it pretty much they look the same.
Hey, it was red, right?
It was red, and with a beautiful parchment leather interior. And after we talked about the other 2 vehicles, the sales consultant showed her that one, and she had fear about the batteries and fear that the performance level would not be the same in the hybrid. So we went ahead and all pushed it off the floor, and she took it for a test drive and came back and completely changed her attitude about the hybrid, and that was the car she ended up taking delivery. It will tow small boats or
Right.
jet skis, and this was a fully optioned car, and really she went nuts over it because it is quieter. It does have more of a punch when you push the gas pedal because you have that extra electric motor pushing, adding to the
Okay.
horsepower. So I think it's about a 15 horsepower difference approximately
Yep,
between the two.
Yeah.
But it's an amazing car. It truly is. I remember in 2010, my wife leased a RX hybrid. And the thing that I remember most about it, besides forgetting to shut it off because you don't hear it,
Okay.
so you can actually
You have
leave
to
it
remember
running.
to turn it off.
We were at a show for New Year's Eve, Howie Mandel, I remember, and we were at the Broward County Theater of Performing Arts in Fort Lauderdale. And of course, it was New Year's Eve, so there were fireworks on the beach and what have you, and that tends to create a lot of traffic in the Fort Lauderdale area. And we were
Yeah.
trapped in the upper level of the parking lot for about 45 minutes before
Wow.
the traffic eased up. And we had guests with us. We had 2 of our friends with us, and the car ran for about 35 to 40 minutes just on the batteries, and the gasoline engine didn't kick in once. And we had the air conditioning on, windows up, and the radio going. And there was no noise. We were able to hear each other talk. It was really incredible. It really amazed me the most. So for those of you who want a little extra power, I'm going to say a little quieter ride, all right? And you can get 5 to 6 miles more per gallon, if not more, and keep the environment nice and clean. That's really you have to explore that vehicle.
Reducing that carbon footprint.
Yes, tremendously. It's interesting in California specifically. Not that I'm a California maven, but we started to go
Well, they're
out there.
cutting edge for all kinds of things.
You see more hybrids, and they have left lane toll lanes like we used to have here, and you see them all in the non-congested, special lanes, HOV lanes, I guess they call it, and they're wall to wall. They're everywhere, and they really, really caught on there. But then again, gasoline is usually $1 more per gallon there too.
They have a hybrid
So,
lane, Steve? Is that what you're
Yeah, exactly. Well, they call it an HOV lane.
saying? Hybrid operating vehicle.
Yep. So,
Well, I would think that would be beneficial if you're stuck in that highway traffic where you're really getting 0 miles per gallon.
Right. Well, that's where cars burn the most fuels when they're sitting at
Yeah.
idle.
when they're
So-
idling.
And hybrids shut off.
The hybrid, and I think we've talked about this before, the city mileage is rated higher than the highway. And it's really fascinating. So depending upon the type of driving that you do, if it's mostly city driving and stops, what have you, there's really no better
Stops
way.
are sitting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, I mean, things get more complicated. There's a lot more traffic than there used to be. And to be able to sit there in nice comfort and have the air conditioning blowing on you and not expending a penny for gasoline, it's pretty interesting, I would say. So Getting back to some of the promotions now, I just want to talk about with Lexus for a moment. If you're looking to buy a car with Lexus, we have special financing rates that are nice and low. So the CT200H, the car we spoke about, you can actually buy that car for up to 60 months for 0% financing. Unheard of, never done before. It's an unbelievable value. So theoretically, you can have a similar payment to own the car for 6 years as you can for a 3-year lease. So either way that you choose to buy it or pay for it, it's a great, great deal. Also, up to 72 months, it's 0.9% financing on that car. So it makes it very, very affordable, more so than most would think.
Sure.
The ES and the ES Hybrid, up to 72 months, is now at 1.9%. You'd be extremely hard-pressed to walk into a bank and say, yes, I'd like a 1.9% car loan for 72 months. They'd basically take
I'm
your
going to
temperature.
buy a luxury car.
Yes, they take your temperature because they're not offering 1.9%, obviously. So the GSs for 72 months are 2.9%. The LS460, this is an interesting car, up to 72 months, 2.9, and the average price for a less contented car is about $79,000, $80,000. So someone who chooses to buy one of those and to keep it for a while at 2.9% financing up to 72 months, it's really quite an interesting proposition how to pay for it. One other thing I want to mention about the LS. Towards the end of this year, beginning first quarter in 2018, we're going to be getting the LS500, which is a completely redesigned twin-turbo, supercharged vehicle that is going to replace the current LS460 that all of the Motor Trends and car and drivers and everything have reviewed and test drove this car and put it through its stages, and they're just nuts about the car. So what Lexus has done to kind of bridge that one-year gap, so to speak, because the car will be out a year from now, they're offering a 1-year high-performance lease on the LS460. Never done before.
So you can bring it back and get that new one.
So exactly.
Wow.
So we put people into LSs this month or the following month.
Sure.
And we do a one
because if you were looking to maybe get that car, you may be going, well, let's wait until the new one comes out.
Exactly. So here you can bridge the gap, and you can drive a brand new Lexus for that year, no penalties or anything of that nature, whatever mileage criteria you need, and then right about when the new one comes out, we can slip you into this new car. And from the looks of the car and the pictures that we've seen, it is another unbelievable masterpiece that could be in a museum the way they built it. The lines are just as sexy as can be. It's low to the ground. The interior looks like it comes out of the finest leather store you could ever imagine. It's just absolutely gorgeous. So it's got all new technology, safety technology, and every time Lexus does introduce a new model, it's usually cutting edge, and usually we lead rather than follow. So this is very, very exciting times for Lexus. To continue, the NX, which is a smaller sport utility, for 60 months you can buy that car at 1.9%, and if you choose to go longer, up to 72 months, it's 2.9%. And the RX 350 is 60 months at 1.9%. So with very little or no down payments needed, we are in desperate need of trade-ins right now in both dealerships, and we attribute that to the used car market it's just blowing up. So we constantly are having trouble finding low-mileage one-owner cars. And we talked about the certification programs for Toyota, and specifically with Lexus, where it's unlimited mileage guarantees, up to 6-year bumper-to-bumper warranty.
Free maintenance.
Complimentary maintenance for the first 2 years. And what's interesting about it, last month, for the month of March, we had an all-time best ever certified pre-owned month. And the only problem that we have is finding the best cars out there. We're going to put cars with clean Carfaxes, obviously no recalls because you can't certify the car for that, and cars with extremely low mileage. And we try to specialize in cars that are 1 or 2 years old because that maximizes the amount of time that the new owner would get on the warranty.
Sure.
And on some of the models right now, we have financing for 48 months as low as 0.9% financing. So
some great deals on pre-owned cars as well.
It's really unbelievable. Yeah. And, you know, it's funny because you would think that they compete with each other, but both markets in both stores are growing more. So people who drive a ton of miles, who don't want to take any kind of a depreciation hit, it makes tremendous sense to think, well, if I can get a 1 or 2 year old brand new Lexus and have the same exact warranty as a new one, and it's got under 10,000 miles, and I drive 50,000 miles a year, and I could have a warranty covering everything for close to 200,000 miles. That's I'm just watching both of your faces.
Yeah.
And we marvel at it too, because when we're explaining it, it almost doesn't sound credible when you think about it. And Gary, as the fix op director for our store, and being with Lexus as long as I have for many, many years, and you being in the body shop and service and parts arena, how do you explain that these cars are just built so well and that we're able to give a warranty that's second to none?
They've been built that well for as long as I've been working with Lexus products, and that's been 16 years now. I've always said, and I'll continue to say, that they're the best built cars in the world, bar none. They just don't break. You maintain them, and they're awesome automobiles. Of course, we have our share of recalls like every other manufacturer does, but our recalls don't seem to be as much or as often as the other manufacturers are.
Well, good segue. So a couple things, and I'm going to let you take over with this. So from what we understand, the airbag recall, which is the critical one, has impacted close to 45 million new cars.
It has.
Lexus has been impacted approximately 400,000 cars. So what Lexus has done, unlike any of the other manufacturers, is that number one, if you are driving one of the impacted cars, which is the passenger side airbag, which Gary will get into in a minute in more detail, if you're looking to buy a new Lexus or lease a new Lexus, you can get up to a $2,500 additional incentive if your car is impacted, which is a tremendous incentive, and we're the only ones that do offer that. Or in the event that the airbag is not available, we're able to give you alternative transportation. So, Gary, if you can just share with us what the schedule is now. We have a couple of the airbags that are available now.
Airbag availability, 2007 through 2012 IS models. That's the IS 250, the IS 350, the ISF. We have airbags, and we can fix those cars. We just received airbags for 2007 through 2009 Model ES vehicles, and the schedule is going to get better as the year goes on. The 2010 models through 2012 models are coming out, some of them in June and some in September and some in August, and it's just...
So theoretically, we could kind of wrap this up hopefully by the end of the year.
We're hoping to, yes. We're hoping to.
So if you've gotten a letter or you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us, or there's government websites that you can go on to will also determine whether or not your car is impacted. I know we're just about out of time, so please come visit Treasure Coast Lexus. We are 1 block south of Midway Road on US 1 in Fort Pierce, or drive 17 miles south to Treasure Coast Toyota of Stuart, which is also on US 1, right in the heart of Stuart on the east side of the street.
And, of course, the Treasure Coast Car Guys back next Tuesday at 11 on WPSL Port St. Lucie and WSTU Stuart.